A night of mischief. A night of mayhem. A night of total terror.
It's the special premiere of Nickelodeon's newest Nicktoon, Real Monsters.
And we've been preparing for this glorious night all year.
Real Monsters premieres next Saturday at 8, 7 Central, only on Snick.
Hello, everybody. Today I'll be covering Real Monsters for my Nicktoons project. So let's jump in here. Real Monsters is the 5th Nicktoon I'll be reviewing for my project, created by Rugrats co-creator Gabor Chupo and Rugrats writer Peter Gaffney. It first premiered on October 29th, 1994, and aired until December 6, 1997. It aired for 52 episodes over 4 seasons, and was Klasky Chupo's second show made for Nickelodeon after Rugrats. The show came about after Rugrats was a hit for Nickelodeon, and they wanted something else from Klasky Chupo. Chupo decided to make a show about monsters, since the rest of cartoons on TV at the time were either about people or animals. The show follows 3 monster classmates, a crybaby slacker monster who resembles a bunny named Ickis, an overachieving British monster shaped like a coat rack named Oblina, and a go-with-the-flow stinky monster named Crumb. Together they learn and train in a New York City dump, taught by the Gromble, a cruel, high-heeled maniac. Most of the time they have to go above ground in order to scare children and adults alike, sometimes having to deal with a monster hunter named Simon. After the show ended, the 3 main monsters also made an appearance in the Rugrats episode Ghost Story in Season 6. Also, Tim Curry plays a fly. Overall, Real Monsters is a fine show. It's not particularly funny or has great plots or whatever, but it's fine to watch and I don't really mind it. I like the overtly spooky setting and aesthetic. It's really fitting with the Klasky Chupo style. I think this is probably the best series to show off their weird, lumpy style, because the world is filled with weird, lumpy monsters and not people. The world building in the show is also pretty nice, with the monsters all living in a garbage dump and going to school with each other. There's a lot of character interactions which I enjoy, even though the characters themselves are pretty basic. I think I definitely would have liked this one more as a kid, because I loved the weird, scary stuff as a kid. If I had some actual memories of me watching this originally, instead of me just watching it for this project when I was a teenager, I'd probably have stronger feelings about it. I don't really like how gross it is at some parts, but I kind of understand it because they're monsters, they live in a dump, whatever. I also really liked the theme song. I wish that it was longer. It was a nice thing to look forward to for the series, the theme song. Not much of a compliment, but I'm a bit of a theme song connoisseur, so it's good enough for me. Honestly, I think there should be more horror or scary shows made for children. The amount of horror-focused cartoons in general is pretty short, but for kids, you pretty much just get this show, something like Courage the Cowardly Dog, Invader Zim, Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, etc., whatever. But I really liked Are You Afraid of the Dark and Courage as a kid, and watching this just reminds me that some kids do like to be scared. And this is definitely an option if you have a kid like I was who liked to be scared, like ghosts, monsters, supernatural stuff, all that. This show isn't particularly scary, but monsters are the focus, and some episodes like Monsters Aren't Real or Where Have All the Monsters Gone can be pretty freaky. I also really like the character designs of the show. All the monsters shown off have great personality shown through the design alone, which I enjoy. Ickis looks like a little bunny rabbit, which is cute. He's pretty scary once he does the big puffing up the full-size thing. The Gromble also has a pretty flamboyant-like design, which I'd say I like. And the ones for the Snorch and Zimbo, the Tim Curry fly I mentioned before, are pretty lumpy and weird-looking, which fits the characters and the aesthetic of the show perfectly. The library monster particularly looks especially interesting. She's basically just a mound of flesh with projectors and film embedded in her skin. It's really freaky-looking. It looks really good. It's a very weird design, but pretty interesting. Overall, all the characters look to have a lot of personality, which would be better if they had more of a personality in the show. And the people in the show don't look totally unappealing as well. Eventually down the road in the Klasky Chupo universe, people would look kind of weird and funky looking, but they look pretty nice here. My favorite human design would probably be the bratty girl from A Wing and a Scare, but the little boy from the first episode is also pretty cute, so yay. Color palette leaves a lot to be desired, however. The entire show is pretty much painted in green and brown, which is a sharp contrast from the Nicktoon before it, which was Rocko's Modern Life, and Klasky Csupo's own Rugrats. Everything just looks kind of gross and nasty with the colors alone, not to mention all the garbage and the junk and the poop around them, which is also green and brown, and all the worn out and dirty clothes and items they use that also make it look really gross and kind of unappealing. I know it's supposed to look grungy and dirty, but it's not appealing to me. And plus, it's really dark. There's no, saturation at all. It's just dark. This really only affects the backgrounds and the environments the characters are in. They themselves have muted color schemes, but they definitely have more colors than green and brown. Ickis is purple, Oblina is black and white and red, etc. They all have more colors and just, ugh. It's just not great to look at. And since most of the series takes place either at night or underground, it's also dark all the time. Even though I usually like night shots in cartoons, I think they're pretty. It would be nice to have some light more often in the show. Honestly, sometimes the dark backgrounds just muddle the scenes, and it's not enjoyable to watch just a bunch of blobs interacting with each other. So it's definitely a point against them. I also don't like some of the voice acting. Ickis' voice in particular can get a little shrill at times, especially when he's laughing or crying, which happens a lot. Zimbo also has the weirdest fuck accent and sounds really weird at the best of times and really annoying at the worst. I don't want to really knock anyone's performances because, I think it's more the voice director's fault, but I just have to bring it up, so yeah, I don't really like that. My favorite performance of the show, though, would probably be Greg Berger as the Gromble. He can go from inviting teacher to terrifying on the flip of a dime. It's pretty intimidating to watch, because I mostly know him as Odie from Garfield and Friends, so it's nice to hear him in a role that isn't literally a dog. Christine Cavanaugh also makes a return from Rugrats as Oblina in this series, and she plays the by-the-book British monster pretty well. She's probably my favorite character in the show, purely because she has more of a personality than the other one. She's very strict and, keeps to herself more often than the other characters. I like that she doesn't just sound like a British Chucky. She has a bit more depth to her than Chucky did, just constantly sounding like this. Kind of got annoying after a while. My other favorite performances was from David Eccles, the voice of Crumb, and his only main role in a cartoon to date. He was a music director and editor on Rugrats and a bunch of other Klasky Csupo shows. I think it was also in the music editor in As Told by Ginger, at least. But he does a pretty good job as the deep voice, but still pretty silly Crumb. The best writer of the series would be Mary Elizabeth Williams, who wrote some of my favorite episodes, including This Is Your Brain on Ickis, PSA reference, Monster Who Came In From the Cold, A Room With No Viewfinder, and Fistful of Toenails. They use toenails as money, by the way. Probably should have mentioned that. Most of the same directors from Rugrats return to Aaahh! Real Monsters. And I'd have to say my favorite director is Jim Duffy, because he directed my favorite episode, which is Simon Strikes Back. But he also directed a bunch of episodes in Season 1, like Cold Hard Toenails, which I mentioned before. And he did This Is Your Brain on Ickis, which I also mentioned before. Into the Woods. He directed a bunch of episodes for this and Rugrats, so I have to shout him out for this one too. Good for him. There are a bunch of incestuous Klasky Csupo people. They just worked on all of their shows, and so they filtered them out and just got new ones. So I'll say Jim Duffy is the Klasky Csupo directing GOAT. There we go. And now I'll go for the best episodes of the show. I'm going to start winding down here, because Real Monsters doesn't really give me a lot to talk about. It's just kind of grungy, it's kind of gross, it's not really funny, but it's entertaining enough. So I'll talk about the episodes that I like most, that actually give me something to talk about here. Season 1, Simon Strikes Back. Honestly, I rated this one pretty low in my initial watch through, and I'm not really sure why. It was pretty funny. It was nice to see some of the monsters' previous scaring victims again on a talk show, and Simon is genuinely a pretty threatening character. The scene where Ickis and Bradley are bonding over being scared was also pretty sweet, and I like that Bradley was actually able to grow as a character, because he was a kid in the first episode who was keeping him in his bedroom. Overall, it was a really fun episode, and it's probably my favorite episode of the series, because, it was, heartwarming enough. It was nice. Season 2, Rasho Monster. I really like seeing episodes from different perspectives, and this is no exception. I like seeing all the little perspectives of the main characters, and seeing the art shift from black to white to vibrant color to crayon-like drawings was pretty neat. Overall, a pretty solid episode, but I'm biased towards non-traditional episode structures, so big shock, I liked it. Season 3, Lifestyles of the Rich and Scary. It was nice to see Ablina's family and see her father support her scary aspirations, I suppose, in a family full of rich people who don't need to work. I always like family reunions in TV shows, and this show doesn't have a ton. It's pretty much just this one and the one with Ickis and his dad, and that was okay, so I'll take what I can get. Oblina's also my favorite character, so I liked her having a little spotlight in this episode. One of the other ones is like, she gets like janky-ass braces for her teeth to like make them worse, and it's like, okay. But this one was nicer than that one, I think. Season 4, Walk Like a Man. Ickis probably killed multiple people and fucked over a cop in this episode, so it's automatically best of the season. Also, it's pretty funny too, I guess. This show just doesn't leave me with a lot to talk about. You know, it's fine to watch, but it's just okay, basically. It's just fine to me. It's a little too gross for me to entirely like, but it's not, like, offensive or even uninteresting. Now, the worst episode of the series, in my opinion, is Baby, It's You. It's pretty gross, even for this show, and honestly, it just kind of annoyed the shit out of me. Also, I don't know why the baby had to be male, androcentrism and all, and that kind of pissed me off, too. Maybe someday I won't hate this one as much, but it annoyed me the day I watched it, so it's the worst of the bunch. I think it says it all. It just annoyed me. I think it rates better than Doug because I like the world they live in more. Funny to say about a literal garbage dump compared to Virginia. And it's spookier, which I enjoy. I think it rates right in the middle of Klasky Csupo's Nicktoons. Rugrats, as told by Ginger, and the Wild Thornberrys before it, and All Grown Up, Preschool Days, and Rocket Power after it. If it had some more colors in it, but brown and green, and the plots and humor were written a bit better, it might have been better than the Wild Thornberrys, but as it stands, it's okay. If you have a horror-inclined child, I'd say you might want to let them give this one a try. Maybe they'll get something out of it more than I could. And now I go from something that leaves me with little to talk about to something that leaves me with a lot to talk about, because next week we're doing Hey Arnold, another one of my favorites. Yay! I hope you like this pretty basic review, and I'll see you next time for a much more in-depth review. Okay, bye-bye.
They're hideous, repulsive, and terrifying. Blue?
They're real monsters, and the First Kids Network is bringing you a brand new hair-raising season. Real Monsters starts this Sunday at 11:30, 10:30 Central, only on Nickelodeon.